What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to take a look at my top 10 big cities for gun owners. Alright, a couple things before we get into the list. First, at the end of the video, I will give you numbers 11 through 15 because a lot of people always ask for what just barely missed out. And I'll be honest, all these cities were so tight in points that they just barely missed out. And also, I'll list all the criteria that I used for ranking these. But right up front, before we start, I am going to tell you these are metro areas with a population of 1 million or greater. So let's get to the list. Number 10, Las Vegas. With a metro area population of just over 2.25 million, it is the third largest in my top 10. While Las Vegas is known for its casinos, there are some very popular things there when it comes to guns. At Battlefield Vegas, you can rent all types of guns, including even a minigun. Then you have SHOT Show being held annually there. When it comes to buying guns in Vegas, you have some choices, with 107 gun shops and 18 shooting ranges. The gun laws there are pretty good, but prior to 2015, Clark County enforced a blue card handgun registration, but they have since been forced to honor the state's preemption law. Las Vegas came in as the safest city on the list, with only 212 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment in Vegas continues to be very high at 14.8%, but that is to be expected with the hit the tourism industry has taken this year. The cost of living in the Las Vegas area is 3.3% higher than the national average, and $100 there is worth $102.56. Number 9, San Antonio, Texas. With a metro area population of 2.6 million, it came in as the second largest in my top 10. When people think of places that are gun-friendly, they tend to think of Texas, so it's only fitting to have a Texas city in the top 10. The gun laws in Texas, they are definitely good. Not only does San Antonio have the Alamo, but they have 69 gun shops and 20 shooting ranges. Violent crime here is a little on the high end, but not horrible, with 395 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. The unemployment rate here is at 7.8%. San Antonio has a very good cost of living for a city of its size, being 11.7% below the national average, and your $100 there is worth $105.93. Number 8, Columbus, Ohio. With a metro area population of right at 2.1 million, it is the fourth largest in my top 10. Gun laws here are pretty good, but beware that the Columbus city government has a tendency to try and enact local gun control, and as recently as 2018 they tried to enact city ordinances banning certain firearm accessories, but it seems the state's preemption law prohibits them from actually enforcing it. But you can do your own research on all that. It's just something to be wary of here. In Columbus, there are 59 gun shops, but I could only find 9 shooting ranges. Crime here isn't bad as a whole, with only 282 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment is 7.5%, and the cost of living in Columbus is 9.2% lower than the national average, and $100 there is worth $108.34. Number 7, Tucson, Arizona. With a metro area population of right at 1.1 million, it is the second smallest in the top 10. Of course, being in Arizona, you can expect great gun laws. In the Tucson area, there are 57 gun shops and 7 shooting ranges. Crime here is about average on this list, with 457 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment isn't bad at 6.5%, and the cost of living in Tucson is 6.1% lower than the national average, and your $100 there is worth $105.15. Number 6, Tampa Bay, Florida. With a metro area population of 3.2 million, it is the largest in my top 10. Now, Florida gun laws have been consistently getting worse over the past few years, so be aware of that. And Tampa looks to have 55 gun shops and 26 shooting ranges. Crime is fairly low here, even though Florida Man possibly lives in this area, with 306 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment sits at 6.1%. The cost of living is a little high here, but it's still 1.3% below the national average, and your $100 here is worth $101.11. I want to take a quick break here just to remind you, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. That really helps. And if you think someone else will enjoy it, share it out. And if you're new here, consider subscribing if you think I've earned it. All right, back to the list. Number 5, Salt Lake City, Utah. With a metro area population of 1.2 million, it is the third smallest in the top 10. Utah gun laws are very good, and they have state preemption, so Salt Lake City laws should also be good. There are 72 gun shops and 18 shooting ranges in the area, And crime isn't bad here, with 369 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment is at 5.2%, and the cost of living in the Salt Lake City area is the highest on this list, coming in at 10.9% higher than the national average, and your $100 there is only worth $100.91. Number 4, Louisville, Kentucky. With a metro area population of 1.3 million, it is the 4th smallest on the list. Kentucky as a whole has great gun laws, and they do have state preemption. Another thing to be aware of is that part of this metro area is also in Indiana, but they also have good gun laws, so it should be fine. In Louisville, there are 64 gun shops and 10 shooting ranges. Crime in Louisville is on the higher end on this list, with 543 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment here is at 5.3%. The cost of living in Louisville is 7.4% below the national average, and your $100 here is worth $110.01. Number 3, Tulsa, Oklahoma. With a metro area population of just 1 million, it is the smallest on the list and just barely made my cutoff. Oklahoma has great gun laws and preemption. Now, I'm in Tulsa 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I can tell you it doesn't have the big city liberal vibe that so many of the bigger cities do. And even if I open carry there, people don't even look twice. There are 68 gun shops and 11 shooting ranges in the area, and violent crime is the highest in the top 10, with 564 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. But if you get outside the city of Tulsa to the suburbs, you can find one of the safest cities in America, Broken Arrow. And I'm sure that's the case for most of these metro areas on this list, but I can say that for sure here. The unemployment rate here is low at 5.4%. Tulsa area comes in 11.3% below the national average for cost of living, and your $100 here is worth $110.62. Number 2, Cincinnati. With a metro area population of 2.2 million, it comes in as the 5th largest in the top 10. The same thing goes for the gun laws here that did in Columbus, except for Cincinnati metro area encompasses part of Indiana and Kentucky. There are 71 gun shops and 22 shooting ranges. Crime here is pretty low, with 225 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment in Cincinnati is at 6.9%. Cost of living in the Cincinnati area is 12.5% lower than the national average, and your $100 here is worth $111.11. Number 1, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. With a metro area population of 1.4 million, it is the 5th smallest. Much the same as Tulsa, the gun laws are good here also. And there aren't a whole lot of people looking down on you if they see you carrying. There are 67 gun shops and 11 shooting ranges in the area. Now, Oklahoma City does come in a little high on crime, with 529 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents. Unemployment is the lowest on this list at just 4.9%. The cost of living in Oklahoma City is also the lowest here, and it's 14.7% below the national average, and your $100 here is worth $109.41. I want to say a big thank you to 3 of my friends that helped me do the research on this, and also I want to ask y'all, if you can, go over and check out their channels. I'll put a link to them in the description below. It's Sarge at C4 Defense, Obnoxious One, and Gizzard Gary. They got a lot of great gun content, so go over and check them out if you have some extra time on your hands. Now, I did this because I realized not everyone likes to live out in the middle of nowhere like I do, or even in a smaller town. They want to live in a big city closer to the action, not an hour away or more. And unlike my top 10 states video, I couldn't take out any of the cities that were in states where they had like red flag laws or stuff like that. But all these have good gun laws. They just have some of them have a few bad gun laws. Because if I took all those out, I wouldn't have had enough cities to make a list, to be honest. Now, also a thing to remember, some of these metro areas cross over state lines, so be aware of that, and do your own research on everything. You know, this is the best stuff I could come up with off the internet, the best information I could come up with, but make sure you do your own research on all this. And lastly, cities 11 through 15. Number 11 was Indianapolis, Indiana. Number 12 was Nashville, Tennessee. Number 13 was the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Number 14 was Atlanta, and number 15 was Birmingham, Alabama. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new here. We'll see you on the next one.